Welcome to this edition of Dufferin Life. I'm your host, Teena Avery. Thank you so much for joining me today. Have you thought about, your health? If you're a very healthy person, maybe you're thinking about it all the time. Maybe you're being proactive. Maybe you think you're healthy. Maybe you're not quite as healthy as you should be. Maybe you're like me and someone who's looking to lose a little bit of weight and just feel better and healthy. So I'm excited about this show, as you can tell, because joining me today we have McGriskin. She is a personal trainer, nutrition, and health coach. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
Well, it's truly my pleasure. And like I said, this is of personal interest, but I think that I'm not the only one who thinks about these things, right?
Definitely.
Yeah. And let's start right from the beginning. So because I know that you're a coach and you talk people through it, the actual process of getting to a point in your life where you want to make healthier choices.
Yeah,
that's a difficult thing for most people, is it not?
It is, yeah. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, it usually comes when they get sick or they can't do something, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh wow, I should really start doing something about this.
Right. Yeah.
So sometimes people get that light bulb moment when it's a good thing, and sometimes it's because of something that's...
Yeah, and I think for me, it's a good thing. I was thinking more of, now obviously, but thinking about moving forward, as I get even older, I want to be able to enjoy the quality of life.
Yes, definitely. And we get a lot of people too where it's like maybe unfortunately somebody in their life has passed on or something like that because they got sick, and then you start to look at yourself and you're like, I should start taking care of myself. I need to. I don't want to go down that road too and end up where they ended up.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think for some people, including myself, it's that whole, life is so busy, so hectic, and for a lot of people, and even a lot of women, you spend your life taking care of your family, your husband, your children. You're always overseeing everything. So sometimes, for me, I'm always on the go. There's so many things that I have on the go that you're just like, well, I don't have time.
Exactly. Yeah, and I hear that. That's my number one excuse, is I don't have time. Mm-hmm. I would love to join you. I would love to work out. I would love to eat better, but I just don't have time. So then I get them to understand that really 20 minutes, half an hour, little tiny things that you can do. I'm sure we've all heard it, park further from the grocery store or wherever, park the back corner and walk in and things like that. There's little things you can do where you can still have a busy life and fit it in.
Yeah.
And it really doesn't take too much longer to make a healthy meal than it does to make an unhealthy meal.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about nutrition as well. And I think for that, people are challenged. I mean, there's fast food, there is Uber Eats and skip the dishes. And
it's thrown in your face everywhere you look.
Yeah, and so it's very easy to choose something quick, or if you get home late, you're like, well, I don't want to cook. I do it myself all the time.
Right.
But let's talk about being a little bit proactive.
Yeah.
And how people maybe can start doing small things to make healthy changes.
Yeah, just small things can make a big difference. Drinking your water, you hear it all the time, but a lot of people say, oh, just get your 8 ounces or your 8 cups or, whatever it is, right? But it's really more, water intake should be like, for example, like an ounce of water per half pound of body weight.
Okay.
So for easy numbers, if you weighed 200 pounds, you should be drinking 100 ounces of water.
Okay.
Right? And just something simple like that really does help. I personally, I'm big on wake up in the morning and just drink 2 cups of water.
Right.
16 ounces are gone already, right? And if you can do that, that's really going to help. Small movement, like I said, just park further away, get that walk in, take the dog for a walk, play with the kids at the park instead of just sitting,
Right.
Try and be a little more active. You can do little things. There's lots of little ways you can do.
Well, let's start with eating, because I think that can be the most challenging, because all of us can take a flight of stairs instead of taking an elevator, or do those types of things. You just have to get into the mental, you've got to create it, make it a habit, right? To make it a habit. But when we're talking about food, you hear so many things about, low carb diets, keto, this, that, and the other. And I'll talk about what I'm doing, and then you just interrupt me and tell me, what I'm possibly doing wrong or other steps. But for me, it was the thought of just eating healthy, not trying to follow a keto diet, not trying to follow, there's so many different diets, and I'm not saying they don't work. I've done keto. I dropped weight and I put it back on, and part of that was just because you start to add the fat back in your diet, and it happens, and then I got lazy and started eating fast food again. So that roller coaster thing, but having a healthy lifestyle, is that the best way to approach being healthy?
Definitely. But when it comes to diet, like I'm so happy you mentioned like keto and this and that. First off, there's no one size fits all with nutrition or with exercise.
Right.
The problem I do see is because like it's $1 billion industry, right? So you get a fad, be it keto, used to be Atkins, like there's so many things out there, right? Eat carbs, don't eat carbs, eat fat, don't eat fat. I personally believe you need to eat a well-balanced meal, like eat all the food groups.
Right.
Eat carbs, and eat meat and eat cheese and have, dairy, but you can still have treats.
Right.
But they're treats.
Right, and
right?
it's in moderation, right? Like if you're gonna go out and you're gonna have a beautiful dinner out with someone, you don't want to stop and go, well, I'm gonna have a salad. You don't want to ruin your experience for the rest of your, life going out for dinner saying, well, now I just have to have salad. You don't have to have just salad. And it's making those smart choices that people have to get into the habit of doing.
Right.
Right? Because, maybe if you've had a lot of carbs that day, maybe you don't have your sides as a potato. Maybe you ask for extra vegetables because that, you enjoyed whatever for lunch or whatever for breakfast. So it's just finding that way to balance.
There is balance, exactly. And I find with my clients, I'm really big on, if you want it, have it. Because you're just going to keep craving it. So if you're really craving that cookie, eat the cookie.
Yeah.
And then move on.
Right.
Right? Like you don't have to eat the box of cookies.
Right.
And you don't have to beat yourself up about it.
Well, that's,
just have the cookie and be like, you know what? I had a cookie. Next meal, move on.
Yeah, and I think that's hard for most people because I think what they do is like, oh, well, I've had a cookie now. I might as well go out to McDonald's and have a burger because I've ruined my day. And I've done it, where you're thinking, well, I've already had that, so I'm going to ruin my,
And I hear it constant, and I'm going to tell you the way I explain it, okay? So yes, you had the cookie. Oh, I had a cookie yet. Like you said, now I'm going to go to McDonald's. If you went out to your car right now and you had a flat tire, would you go and slash the other 3?
What
you
wouldn't, analogy, yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
you wouldn't.
Great analogy, yeah.
So you just go, well, I got a flat tire, time to move.
Right, time to get a new tire and keep going. Yeah.
Yeah. So what? You had the cookie.
And I think that's for many, many people, it's that mental argument you have within yourself that makes it so much more difficult to kind of move forward.
Right. Well, yeah. So a big part of what is mindset too, right? Like you need to work on that, and there's personal development books and all kinds of things that you can get into. Right. But just having that relationship with yourself, being, I'm going to take care of myself, and I'm going to be healthy for me, or my kids, or my grandkids, or whoever it is that you want to be healthy for, and then just keep moving forward from there.
Yeah, and I think for some people too, I did a little bit of, I've known a little bit about this before I was even paying attention to it, but you have to be conscious of what you're eating and what you're putting, let's say for instance, my bad habit is drinking Coca-Cola. I don't drink it anymore. I haven't had Coca-Cola for quite some time because I'm in the process. I want to be healthy. I want my life to change, and I want to make those changes. But things like high fructose corn syrup, and learning what those key words are when you're actually, I'm not saying you have to read every label, but just knowing when you're picking those things that maybe are a little bit more challenging, knowing what's in them.
Right, definitely. And you don't have to read every label, but it really is helpful if you can just flip it around and see what it says and just read. So there's sugar, like you say, with the
high fructose corn syrup.
Oh my
Anything with an ose on it is really not good for you. Yeah.
No. And if you can't pronounce it, then maybe don't get it. And if there's more than, say, 8 ingredients, you maybe don't need that either.
Okay.
You know, because then, like you said, you start getting into words you can't pronounce, and you're like, what is that? You know, and then it's
you don't want to make it too much work, but you also want to be aware.
Exactly. Yeah, just being aware and try and I'd like to say shop the outside of the grocery store. You know, so that's where the produce is, the meat, the dairy. You get into those aisles, and then that's where all the processed foods are.
Yes.
Right? So the more processed it is, it's going to be not as healthy for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything that can sit in a can for 2 years and not go bad is going to have a lot of preservatives in it. I mean, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Teena, this is not rocket science. We know this, but you have to, like, if you're somebody who has to actually make these conscious choices, and then you get into the habit of making them, then it becomes second nature to walk around the outside and maybe just skirt through a few of the insides just to get a few things that you need.
Yeah, and when you go shopping, shop with a list. You know, because it's easy to just walk through and go, and you just start grabbing things. If you got a list and you stick to the list, you'll buy the healthier items, right? Every time. And there's no shame. Everything is so expensive nowadays, and I understand that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you're in the produce section, you're like, oh my gosh, but it's so expensive. Well, buy frozen. You know, you can buy, and a lot of things frozen are, if you think about it, they're picked at their peak.
Right.
So when they're actually ready to be eaten, that's when they're picked and frozen. So a lot of them are even healthier. They're not sitting on the shelf deteriorating.
Right.
Or being sprayed because they have to sit in the truck and then sit on the shelf.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
It gets picked and froze. So I like to do, frozen fruits and veggies are a great option, and they're fast, and they're in your freezer, and grab them, and
it's always good to have them on hand, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we've got a couple minutes left, and we're just going to finish talking about maybe grains and wheats and that sort of thing, because everyone's told stay away from white rice, white pasta, white potatoes, but you can eat those in healthy.
You can eat them in moderation.
Yeah.
Again, there's not going to be as much nutrients to them, right? So having
Maybe
a piece of white bread
Yeah.
might not have any nutrients in it, so you're just filling your stomach.
Right.
Right? If you always eat with the purpose in mind to get nutrients, just, and whole wheat breads and things like that, they don't taste bad.
No.
It's just a habit, and what you've been brought up with or what you're used to. And if you can make the switch and do it gently, it's a good idea.
So I think, I'm just going to say this, and we're going to come right back. But I think just starting with small steps and being aware of what you're doing is a great way to do it.
Yeah.
And we are not going anywhere. We're going to come right back, and we're going to talk a little bit about some exercise and some of the things you can do at home. So don't go anywhere.
Sounds good.
This program is brought to you by Ignite TV. Now you're in command. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, you tuned in at a great time. We're talking about how to make ourselves healthy. We've got Laura McGriskin. She is a personal trainer, fitness coach, nutritionist. She knows it all. And we spent the first half of the show talking about nutrition. But I wanted to say, Laura, if we were going to sum it up into 3 things where somebody should start with nutrition if they're planning on just getting a little bit healthier, where should they start?
Like I said, drinking water is a great place to start. Trying to eliminate the pop. Even if you have to mix your Coke with, or your pop and your soda, half and then half sparkling water.
Okay.
So you still get the bubbles, but it's less sugar for you.
Okay.
But try to eliminate that. Try any sugars like that, that are
Intensely high and full of sugar and have no nutritional value whatsoever, which is why I don't drink it anymore.
Exactly. Yeah, no nutritional value at all. Try to avoid those things. Adding more fruits and veggies, and you can sneak them in. You can grate up carrots and zucchini and put them in your spaghetti sauce and your meatloaf, whatever. Your kids don't know it's there, but it's there. Right? And you're getting that. Other things you can do. Carbohydrates are not a bad thing, but think about when you need them. If you're going to eat them for supper, you don't really need that energy to go to bed.
Right.
So then they're just going to stick around. You're not going to burn them off. They're going to convert.
Okay.
Right. So
meal prep I think is really important. I used to actually know somebody that on Sunday night they would not necessarily prep all of their meals, because I think some people find that overwhelming, but they would prep their snacks for the week. So they would have 5 containers for work, and this one had veggies cut up in it, this one had this in it, this one had some nuts, this one had so that every day all they had to do was grab those things to add to whatever they were going to be eating that day. So I think getting used to being a little bit more organized and just a little bit more conscious about what you're doing can be very helpful on the nutrition side of things.
Yeah, having things that are grab and go, like that's going to stop you from hitting the drive-through.
Right.
And if you can, hard-boiled eggs are a great thing to have in your fridge. Like you say, on Sundays, you could take 60 to 90 minutes and do a lot of food prep. You can cook up some boneless, skinless chicken breast, have them on hand, the hard-boiled eggs, cut up the fruits and veggies, have them in containers on hand, all of that kind of stuff, like grab and go. And
then you're set for the week.
And then you're set.
Or if you happen to be running around, maybe you just have that pouch with some almonds in it, or just something with you all the time.
Yes, so keep them in your bag, in your purse, in your briefcase, whatever it is you have. Like you say, nuts, you can have them in the vehicle.
Yeah.
And, leave them there. They're going to stay fresh in a Ziploc bag or something like that.
And it's just so you don't have that temptation to run and get a chocolate bar when you go to the gas station, or anything you're running around. Like, for instance, I'm always running around, so it's very hard for me to think, unless you actually make that conscious effort to say, okay, well, I know I'm going to be running around, so I'm going to throw a banana and some almonds in my purse, and at least I've got something to eat to fill me up.
Exactly. And there's so many things you can, the internet's full of things, but like a mason jar salad, I'm sure you've seen those, and it's, as long as you layer them correctly, they're good in the fridge for 4 days.
Okay.
And you just take it with you, and when you get ready to eat your lunch, you just dump it in the bowl, and
you're good to go.
But yeah, it's good.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I know we could probably spend another 3 hours talking about nutrition, but we're going to move on to exercise.
Okay.
And we're going to talk a little bit about what you do with regards to how a personal trainer can benefit somebody who's on whose goal is to be more healthy.
Right. Okay. So having a personal trainer works with you directly, right? So there is no one size fits all, like we said, when it comes to fitness or nutrition. Everybody is an individual. Personal training, I'm going to work with you to make sure you have the correct form, so you're going to avoid injury, and we're going to work on your specific goals, where you're at, your age, whatever it is, right? It's not just going to be...
Right, it's not cookie cutter, because, I have 1 bad knee and 2 bad ankles, so I can't do something with somebody who has really good knees or good ankles. Lucky people.
Exactly, but that's something that we could work on mobility and flexibility and things like that. So maybe just small little things. A lot of people complain about their wrists while you're sitting at the computer, you're texting, little movements. Right? Little things you can do to just, little pom-poms, shake it out, just gets it moving, and like little things like that are Very helpful.
Motion is lotion for your joints.
That's right.
That sounded like I had that planned. I really didn't, but yeah, it's something that I've heard before. So, but little things make a big difference.
It really does, yeah. So, and if you are looking to hire a personal trainer, again, one size doesn't fit all, right? Like, you might not connect with me.
Right.
Right? Like, somebody who's a 55-year-old woman going through menopause wants to lose some weight, her and I can connect.
Right.
She's not going to connect with the guy in the gym who's, all buff and,
right.
So.
Because, yeah, I mean, you have to have that relationship. You have to have that trust level so that you understand what their needs are.
Exactly.
And you're able to work with them specific to what they're looking for.
Exactly.
So,
and it's definitely like that. And you want to be comfortable with your personal trainer because you are in very close quarters. So if it's not working out, then yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I have a question. So with regards to weight loss, because if you've noticed, I've always been talking tonight about being healthier. So for some people, it's not a weight loss goal. For me, there's a weight loss goal and a being healthy goal. So I've kind of encompassed that in. I just want to be healthy for myself.
Right.
So when you've got weight to lose, I've heard different things about this. So should you lose some of the weight before you start to tone and kind of do all that, or should you be doing the toning at the same time that you're losing weight?
I say do it all at the same time.
Okay.
Right? And now where we're talking weight loss, a safe amount of weight loss is 2 pounds a week.
Okay.
Obviously if you have a lot of weight to lose, then it might come off a lot quicker.
Right.
Right? Like if you're somebody who has 100 pounds to lose as opposed to somebody who has 10 pounds to lose, right? But 1 to 2 pounds a week is fine.
Okay.
Right? And that's going to be actual weight loss, like actual fat loss, not just you were retaining water and look at me, I lost 10 pounds in a week.
Right.
So, and again, that also might not be healthy if you're just like cutting so many calories, that you lost so much weight.
And so quickly, yeah.
So quickly, yeah. And I also tell people it didn't come on overnight.
It's not.
So it's not going to come off overnight.
There is no quick fix, people. Believe me, I sit there pondering it all the time. So I'm doing it slow and steady for sure. And the reason I asked that question is because I was always under the impression that, you should lose some of the weight before you tone because you don't want to tone, and be a bigger person.
Okay,
Does that make sense?
Yeah, so the majority of people are not going to bulk up. I mean, men with more testosterone, that kind of a thing, when they start lifting heavy weights, they will bulk up. Most women will not bulk up by lifting weights. And lifting weights, first off, after the age of 30, you start to lose muscle mass.
Right.
30. Like, that's so young.
Seems so long ago.
Right? I know. No, but it just keeps going, right? And so we want to maintain muscle mass because it also is going to help with bone density and all kinds of things, right? So strength training is definitely important. Something you should be doing.
Okay.
Yeah. And then the more muscle you have, the more fat you're going to burn even when you're at rest.
Okay.
Right? One other thing I would like to add is so many people are like, well, muscle weighs more than fat. Well, a pound of bricks and a pound of feathers
weighs a pound.
Both weigh a pound, but a pound of bricks might be this big and a pound of feathers might be a suitcase full or a pillowcase full. You know what I mean? Like, so it's just that the fat takes up more space than the muscle.
So it's a matter of perspective, right? Like you have to really keep perspective as, because if this were all muscle, oh my goodness, I'd be like, woohoo! Yeah, but it's not. So I'm working on it, and hopefully people who need to are working on it as well. So let's talk about this, because I know that personal trainers, obviously, if you're hiring a personal trainer, you have to have funds to do that. But there's a lot of people that either can't afford a personal trainer, or just maybe are not comfortable enough to work with someone one-on-one right away. So let's talk about some of the things that we might be able to do at home so people can start to feel a little bit healthier.
Yes, definitely. If you can't afford a personal trainer, because it's not cheap, it is an investment. maybe group fitness classes are your thing, where you can save a little bit of money, or even online. There's some online things, right? Like I personally have a private online group, you know, that's my least expensive option because it's a group and it's online. So although we can still work one-on-one together virtually, you know, it's in a group setting, so there's more people.
Okay.
So it lowers the cost. However, there are so many things that you can do just on your own. Just get moving, right? Like I said, go for that walk. Little tiny things you can do during the commercials.
Well, let's talk about that, because we've only got a couple minutes left,
Yeah.
and I know we could, like I said, we could probably talk hours on these topics.
Yeah.
So let's give us a couple little things maybe that we could do while we're watching TV while those commercials come on.
Yeah. All right. So, well, you can tone your arms just by doing little circles.
Okay.
Right? I guarantee if you do 40 little circles this way and don't put them down and do 40 little circles that way, you're going to be feeling the burn in there for sure.
Okay.
Right? Same thing. If you don't have weights, that's okay. Get some soup cans, some water bottles.
Okay.
Right? You can do bicep curls with your water bottles. You can do tricep extensions. So you're just going to push. Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Yeah.
And you're pushing back and you're feeling it in the back of the arm.
Okay.
Okay. Of course, squats and things like that, just be careful to make sure your knees don't go past your toes, you know, and if you feel any pain, stop.
Right.
Right? Like you should be able to feel muscles working. But if it's actual pain in joints or anything, then you definitely need to stop.
Yeah, because that's an indication that something is wrong, you're not in the right position, or maybe what you're doing is not beneficial for you personally.
Right, and we don't want to injure, you know, no injuries, because then that's going to just prolong your health.
Well, this
journey.
is it, like, and we've just got about a minute left, but I've always been told that, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, that if you're exercising when you have an injury, you're strengthening the injury. Is that correct?
It could be, yes, yes. Yeah, and always, again, check with your doctor or this or that. The other thing I'd like to just throw in is make sure you always warm up first.
Okay.
Right? So we were talking about the joints. You need to get the synovial fluid in the joints moving before you do your exercise. So even just any little thing that you can do, marching in place, moving your arms, rolling your shoulders out, and then get into your exercises. So a good 2 to 3 minute warm up is sufficient.
Key.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
And then stretch at the end.
Awesome. Laura, I want to thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. It's fun.
And thank you for joining us. Until next time, bye-bye for now.
Call the Rogers TV viewer response line, email us, or connect with us on social media.
I'm Wendell Clark with a word about winning. We all know it takes a team effort in any sport and with any challenge. You can be a part of the winning team that shuts out